episode of Financial Freeway. My name is David Jatwood. I'm the man rocking the Ray-Bans, even in the rain. Things are getting darker. I was getting to work today, and one of the things I do when I get to work, because I have to walk in onto the base, is I like to look out into the ocean and see how dark it's going to be on Friday when I do the cold dip with Seth. And I looked out this morning and it was black, just pure darkness, ink. And I'm just thinking, oh, I can take the cold and I can take the wet, and I can even take it when it's a little bit stormy out. We have a little bit of rain and the waves are pounding us. I can take that. But one thing I really don't like is doing all that in the dark. And it is dark, like just so black, inky black. Not looking forward to it. But that's part of it. And the whole part of this, when I tell people when I do this, is that it's about in a weird way, it's kind of all about being miserable. It's about being in a situation where you're uncomfortable. And the way Seth always says it when we're doing it is, it's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the more I do things like that, like I was talking to somebody this weekend at a party, one of my listeners, Rick, thank you for watching. I was talking to Rick about it, and he says, oh, it's all about the health benefits. And I said, it's so much more than that. The cold dip is more, it's about the health benefits, yes, of course. But there's also the mental discipline of getting up that early and walking with a bathing suit into the cold ocean in the middle of the night. It is everything you don't want. There's seaweed rubbing up against you. There's fish splashing the water. I've had fish nibble at the skin of my legs in the past. It's about being okay with being. It's about being uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's really the best way to put it. There's no other way to really suggest it. But again, it's like, even if you can't get to the ocean or a lake or a river, getting into a cold shower and doing it that way. If that's all the time you have for is to get in a cold shower, even that is so miserable and so uncomfortable that your body is happy when it's over. And I think that's really the key takeaway. But, it's the same thing with working out or dieting, being really strict and disciplined with your diet. All that stuff is very important because it's all part of that discipline, pushing past your comfort and getting to a place where there are benefits to it. So it's a good thing. Not looking forward to it. I never look forward. In fact, I like to say that the hardest part of my week, the worst part of my week, is standing at the edge of the water waiting to step into it. That's the absolute worst. When I'm sitting there, because I usually get there a few minutes before Seth, I'm just looking out there at all that inky, cold, black water. That's the worst part of my week. Everything's on the upswing from there. It's great after that. It's amazing after that, actually. So that's another good thing about doing something you don't like, is when it's done, man, does it feel good. Anyways, I heard a quote the other day, and it really resonated with me. I know I've been talking a lot about, tailoring your friend group and making sure you're careful with who you surround yourself with. It's very, very important. It is crucial, actually. It's not even important. It is the number one thing. Forget race or education or background. Forget all that stuff. The number one thing is, who do you surround yourself with? Because if you surround yourself with a bunch of losers, you're going to be a loser. That's all there is to it. It really is that cut and dry. But I heard a quote and I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to share it with you guys. It was, never ask the wrong person the right question. And I was like, well, that is profound. Like when you ask someone, should I start a business? And they like, oh no, starting business is risky, and 8 out of 10 businesses fail, and blah, 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 all that stuff. This is exactly what they're talking about when they say, don't ask the right question to the wrong person or of the wrong person. Because the wrong person with bad information or bad experiences or a bad outlook is going to give you the misinformation. And nothing's worse than talking to someone who sounds credible, or someone you have trust in and faith in, like a parent. And you're asking them a question, but what they're doing is they're relaying, hey, I have all these fears. And, like I say, realized or imagined, it doesn't matter. But I have these fears, and I'm afraid that if you do these things, these fears that I have for what might happen to me can also happen to you. So this is the important thing about, oh, there we go. Can I get in there? Can I squeeze in? Oh, they're going to let me in. How nice. This is the important thing about really making sure you're careful about who you put around in your life. Because if you start, like I say, like if you ask someone who every time they pick up a hammer, they slam their hands with it, they're going to say, whoa, don't use a hammer. Find another way to use a hammer. Or say a pneumatic nailer. When I was my first job out of high school, my first real job with a real company was with a building supply company. And we were always told about safety. We had to watch all these safety videos all the time. And one of the things they talked about was using a pneumatic nailer. And they kept saying, when you use one of these, it's really important that you're careful, because if you hit a knot in the wood, the nail can come around and hit you in the back of the hand. It could ricochet so fast that it gets around into your hand. And that scared the living bejesus out of me. So for the longest time, I was really hesitant to use a pneumatic nailer for that reason. And so what I tell people is that fear got into my head. So I never used a pneumatic nailer, ever. And that, again, nothing ever happened. It never happened to me. It was an imagined fear. Same thing with starting a business. If you've never started a business or never tried to start a business, and you decide to tell people around you, oh, that's so risky, it's so dangerous, oh, I would never do that. That's the kind of stuff where you start to poison someone else's mind with your fears. And you're, again, realized or not, like whether it's a realized fear or it's just something imagined, it doesn't matter. That's why it's really important to be careful about who you surround yourself with. If you want to be a plumber and you're not a plumber yet, surround yourself with plumbers. It's pretty straightforward. Don't surround yourself with a bunch of people who failed at being a plumber or never got the chance to be a plumber, or whatever the case is, or just don't like even the idea of being a plumber. You want to surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do. Or make sure that when you're listening to people that you're getting the right advice and you're asking the right people the right questions. So important. I know for myself, I put faith in a lot of people in my past, in my youth, that I shouldn't have. And it cost me. It took me forever to get to a point where I started to realize that, wait a second, I do know some stuff and I do understand things, and I'm not an idiot for asking these questions or in investigating these ideas and concepts. Years ago, somebody who was very well versed in the world of finance gave me some bad advice. This would have been 2016 or so, and 2016. And I said, here's what I want to do. And he was he was a financial guy. I said, here's what I want to do. And he said, if you do this, I can't work with you anymore because it's such a horrible, horrible idea. You will lose money. You will be in constant trouble with this. So, you won't win. This is not what you think it's going to be. But there was that point where I just said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of listening to other people tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. And this is me over the age of 40. And I took my idea and my concept and I went with it. And the crazy thing was, this is the really exciting thing is that I was right. I was actually right, and I ended up making a really good financial decision, which was not crazy, and it was a sound decision. Like, it was not like I wasn't being a maniac, saying I'm gonna go to the casino, bet it all in red, and I know that I'm gonna win all that money. It wasn't like that at all. It was a really, really sound business idea, and I decided to go with it. And again, against the advice of someone who should have known better, but I trusted myself. And I think that's the key, is if you, again, it's not about trusting yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is actually getting to a point where you make sure you ask the right people the right questions. Sacre bleu. So if you like I say, like, you get some people like I did, I get a financial advisor saying, no, you do not want to do this. And I ended up doing it because I did the research. I had a feeling that I was on the right path, and I kept learning and teaching myself about it. And what else I did is I sat down and I actually crunched the numbers. I actually went down and I did the work of actually crunching the numbers, putting the numbers into the spreadsheet and making it work. And so at the end of the day, when everything got worked out, I ended up making the right decision. And that's the point of it all. I made the right decision, and it ended up making all the difference in my world, to the point where I could retire early. And God bless him, but if I listened to this guy, I would have been exactly where I was 10 years ago. And so I did make the right decision. But again, back to my original thought, it doesn't matter if it's about you doing the research. It's about going to somebody. And this is the hard thing about life, is sometimes you have to take the chance and ask someone who you think should know better. But a good way to think about it, a good measuring point that I like to point out to people is, think of it this way. Just think, where is this person now? Who is this person now? Is this person who you want to be? And if they're not, take their advice, thank them for their advice, and then do your research. Work the numbers, work the scenarios, and see what you end up with. At the end of the day, you do have to trust yourself. But again, going back to your compatriots and your cohorts, make sure you surround yourself with people who are living the life that you want to live. Period. It's that simple. If they are not living the life you want, if you look at them and they're like, oh, I'm broke, or I'm sad, or I'm alone, or why can't I find a man, or why can't I find a wife? And if anything like that's going on in their lives, you do not want them to be part of your life. Make sure you surround yourself with the right people. And again, like I said in the beginning of this whole thing, it's really important to ask the right people the right questions. Do not ask the right questions to the wrong people, because you will get misinformation and it'll set you back. Anyways, folks, thanks so much for watching on this rainy Tuesday afternoon. Really appreciate watching, stopping by. Make sure you hit the thumbs up if you like what you're listening to, if you like the advice I'm giving. And make sure, of course, if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. That always helps. And thanks, Rick, for letting me know that you watch the videos. I really appreciate that. And as I say before, go to financialfreeway23.ca. That is where a lot of really great stuff is. And I've talked before about my portfolio breakdown there. Again, not financial advice. Make sure you're contacting a financial professional for any financial advice. And finally, as I always say, spread the word, spread the good news, because it's our mission here at Financial Freeway to make sure that everyone understands that they have a right, an inalienable right, to live a life of happiness and abundance. Wherever you are in this rainy world this afternoon, I wish you the very best. God bless.